Hello, my name is Joanna Bowman, and for my project, I'm doing Fashioning a Circular Future by Lily Cole. First, I want to talk about the visual personality of the piece I want to create. I want to take graphics that are industrial and combine them with graphics that are more organic and natural. And the examples that you see up on the screen do that. And it's definitely a concept that I want to carry throughout the piece. Some of these examples are like the light bulb on the left that has a leaf as the glass part of the bulb, and the airplane that has the solar panels as wings. All are very interesting concepts that combine the two opposing things. So it should be interesting to see how I can interpret that and put it in my piece. So for the next visual personality, I want to talk about fashion and its bad effect on the environment. And for this, you need to do that visually. So I found two examples that are very interesting inspiration. First is a runway through a garbage dump of clothing, so directly relating fashion to landfills and garbage dumps full of clothing. And then to the right, you see an industrial landscape with smoke coming out of the pillars, and then a closet full of clothing. So that directly relates the industrial process of clothing making to air pollution. So this was inspiration as far as what am I going to use to connect all of these themes together. So next, for visual personality, I want to talk about ways that I can combine fashion and organic or environmentally friendly concepts. So for the image on the left, I found it very interesting that the women were wearing recycled newspapers and garbage as clothing. And then on the right, it's a drawing of a tree that makes a suit. So I thought that was interesting inspiration as far as how can I combine fashion with plants and organic materials, or if there's a way of visually representing it in a more realistic type of way. So I definitely want to try to find a way to portray the fashion in an organic way. So next, I have an image of a fashion designer's workstation or studio. I think it's important to show the process of fashion design and where it all starts with the concept, because then it trickles down throughout the rest of the process. So I think it's important for people to know where their clothes come from, how it's produced, because the how is a big part of why we make the choices that we make, especially in today's society when people are starting to become more conscientious of these different effects that we as a human race are having on the ecosystem and environments. So for my final visual personality point, I have to the left a fashion sketch. I like the way that the organic shapes and movement paired with the straight lines. So I think that this is something, I know I wanted to use a little bit of typography in my piece, something to consider as far as the fashion and the type working together. And I also like the texture in the fashion and how, although it's definitely flat, it still gives shape and it still gives form, and you still know exactly what the items are. So that's definitely something to think about when creating the graphics for this piece. And then to the right, I felt that it was important to include the diagram of linear versus circular fashion products, because it's what the whole video is about. It's making a circular future. So I feel like it's important to try to find a way to show that right now it's a current system, and then the circular system that we're trying to get to. So next, I'm going to be talking about the visual message. I have first a video of a plant growing. For this, the reason I picked it was because I like the organic movement and the flow of something moving, and I want the piece to have an organic feel, like it's not fashion that's made in a big industrial plant, that it's organic, that it moves, it grows, and it lives with the environment in a cohesive way instead of ending up in a dump yard or a dump site. So it's definitely a movement and style that I want to incorporate throughout the motion piece. And then for my next visual message, it's almost like a little infographic. And what I really appreciate about this infographic is that there's so much on the screen, but yet every bit of it is still legible. It's not overwhelming, and that's kind of what I want to accomplish with this. And the artist does with this piece by using line, either solid or dotted, by having pieces come up at different times, and then by having a bit of secondary motion to help the pieces stand out a little more. So it's definitely something to strive for. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about visual goals. So I want to have a modern, organic vibe. So I found websites that portray this. So first I have my first website, white backgrounds, very clean, light colors. The imagery is strong, and there's a lot of green, natural colors in them. So I want to play with those natural colors and then the other colors that support them without overwhelming or taking away from them. So it's definitely something that I want to be clean, because when I think of environmental, it's clean. So that was my first website of inspiration. And then now for my second one, it's a different approach. It's definitely less white and more vibrant colors, a lot of green. But what I liked about this was the wood texture. So it'll help create that more organic, natural feel. So I definitely want to be conscious of different textures, even the texture of the kale on the upper right hand corner. So I'm trying to think more texture wise, textures that occur within nature and organic materials. And that is the visual touch point for my project, and I hope it gives you a better understanding of what I hope to accomplish.